Give you a second to take your seats. I'm Lauren DeYoung-Shulman. I am the Deputy Director of Studies here at CNAS, and we are now at my favorite part of the annual conference. We at CNAS are incredibly proud about how we make launching the next generation of national security leaders part of our mission. It's what we do every day. It's part of our DNA. It's not just a theme that we say on our website, but something that we actively all participate in. And the most important part of that mission to us is annually awarding the Lieutenant Andrew J. Bacevich Jr. Memorial Fellowship. The Bacevich Fellowship was established in June 2007 in memory of First Lieutenant Andrew J. Bacevich of Massachusetts, who died of wounds suffered during combat operations as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was 27 years old. Lieutenant Bacevich served in the U.S. Army's 1st Cavalry Division and was the son of Dr. Andrew Bacevich, a Vietnam veteran and a professor of international relations at Boston University. As an officer, Lieutenant Bacevich followed in his father's footsteps. By joining the Army, he was an outstanding soldier. He was brave, he was steadfast, he was irrepressible, he was an incredibly admirable human being, and he had an unrealized dream to serve his country in a career of public service. Lieutenant Bacevich made the ultimate sacrifice for his country instead, and this fellowship serves as a clear reminder that the national security actions that we debate here today are not abstractions, but have very real consequences. The first Bacevich Fellow was Sean Brimley, who was my very dear friend and former boss, awarded this in 2007, and Sean passed away earlier this year in January. And he kept a photo of Lieutenant Bacevich on his desk for his entire career, everywhere he went, in the White House and DOD, as he said, as a constant reminder of what national security decisions mean and the importance of getting it right, and the importance of not being flip and cavalier about weighing use of force decisions that can ultimately result in people losing their lives. And Sean lived up to that every day of his career, as did all the Bacevich Fellows that followed him, some of whom are on stage with me right now. And it's been awarded to a young national security analyst at CNAS every year for their performance and professionalism and dedication to public service. So let me tell you about our next Bacevich Fellow, Rachel Rizzo. Rachel came to CNAS a few years ago, first as an intern and then as an RA in our Transatlantic Security Program. This is not an ordinary program, and Rachel has never been an ordinary RA. She has been part of launching some of the most innovative and experimental work here at CNAS every day she's been here, from the Brussels Sprouts podcast to tabletop exercises to the Across the Pond program and much more. She has drawn on fresh approaches and fresh thinking every day she's been at CNAS, and she never gets trapped in the status quo. In a city tied up by partisanship, Rachel reaches across the aisle to make friends. She always wants to hear her arguments challenged in some way, and she loves traveling outside of her area of experience just to see what the world is like outside of her, what she's familiar with. She is constantly curious. She has the confidence to be challenged, and she has the courage to try new things. Rachel does serious work, but she does not take herself seriously, as anyone can tell you in the center. And she dives headfirst into tasks that keep the center running, not just the sexy stuff. When she and I were first discussing the fellowship, she talked to me about how Dr. Bacevich's unmatched voice meant something to her, and his ability to say what was right, even when it was uncomfortable for everyone else in the room, was something that she wanted to replicate, and I have every confidence that Rachel will do that for the rest of her career. So, in enduring recognition of Lieutenant Andrew Bacevich's exceptional commitment to the service of our country, it is my pleasure to introduce Rachel Rizzo as the 12th Lieutenant Andrew Bacevich Fellow for 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lauren, for those kind words. I am deeply honored and humbled to be asked to serve as this year's First Lieutenant Andrew J. Bacevich Jr. Fellow here at CNAS. First and foremost, I want to say that I will strive to do my utmost over the next year to honor the memory of Lieutenant Bacevich and to make sure that his incredible legacy lives on. I owe this opportunity to many people who have supported me throughout my time during and long before I came to CNAS. First and foremost, to my parents, who I'm lucky enough to have here in the audience today, and who have shown unwavering support in whatever I endeavor to accomplish in life. To my boss and my mentor, Julie Smith, who has given me a voice over the past 2.5 years. And to my incredible colleagues whose work I deeply admire and always strive to emulate. It will be no small feat to try to live up to the examples set by the 11 other Bacevich Fellows who have held this title before me, 2 of whom are standing here on the stage today. Lately, I've spent a lot of time thinking about the very first Bacevich Fellow, our dear friend and colleague, Sean Brimley, who isn't with us today, but his spirit lives on as part of the beating heart of CNAS, and he perfectly encapsulated the spirit of this fellowship. Sean fiercely stood by the commitment of CNAS to nurture and grow the next generation of national security professionals. That commitment is what makes this organization so special, and it's what sets it apart from others of its kind. CNAS gives a voice to those just entering this field, and we're encouraged to say and write what we think, even if it's unpopular and even if it goes against the grain. That commitment is more important now than ever before, and there's no doubt that today we live in a time of hyperpartisanship. There's a growing disconnect between those who make policy in Washington and those who are affected by it throughout the United States. That disconnect exists for a reason. Oftentimes, it becomes all too easy to get lost in the day-to-day DC cycle of expert roundtables or op-ed writing or strategy speeches, and it's easy to forget that the policies made here in this city have real-world consequences, and those consequences are felt far beyond the confines of the Washington, D.C. bubble. As we go forward, it's up to the next generation of national security leaders to ask the hard questions, to challenge the status quo, to ask why and to what ends, and to make sure we understand the effects of the decisions we make and the ideas we put forward, to try to lessen the disconnect rather than broaden it. As I embark upon this fellowship over the next year, I will strive to do this every day with the sense of duty, honor, and courage for which Lieutenant Bacevich is remembered. Thank you.